My name is Wanur Insyazwana binti Wan Muhammad Izani. My name is Fatin Nabila binti Muhammad Faizal.
My name is Nofawiza binti Zulkifli.
My name is Nura Ain Ashrani binti Ahmad Fauzi.
My name is Nur Elisa Irwayu binti Muhammad Anwar.
Good evening. Today, we turn our focus to Singapore, a key player in Southeast Asia known for its thriving economy and strategic location. Situated at the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula, Singapore covers around 719 square kilometers, including one main island and 63 smaller islets. It is connected to Malaysia by the Johor-Singapore Causeway and the Tuas Second Link. With a diverse population of over 6 million, Singapore is a melting pot of Chinese, Malay, Indian and other cultures. The country boasts a highly developed and free market economy with a GDP of approximately USD 466.79 billion in 2022 and a per capita GDP of around USD 70,000. Singapore's economy is driven by financial service, trade and logistics, manufacturing and tourism. The city-state is a global financial hub and home to one of the world's busiest ports. Key industries include electronics, chemical, biomedical science and machinery. Tourism is a major contributor to the economy, with popular attractions like Marina Bay Sands, Garden by the Bay and cultural districts such as Chinatown, Little India and Kampong Glam that drawing millions of visitors each year. That's all for our feature on Singapore, and today we are gonna go around to hear about macroeconomics problem for inflation and unemployment in Singapore and how Singapore solve this kind of problem. Let's continue to the interview session. Fatin, what do you know about inflation?
Inflation is when the price of goods and services increase continuously over the year. This will make consumers need more money to spend on their goods. This situation happens when there is full employment on that country. Did you know that Singapore inflation rate has fluctuated over the years?
Oh, really?
Yes. For your information, in 2020, the inflation rate was 0.18% because of COVID-19. In 2021, the rate of inflation is 2.31% because of the reopening of sector economy. The inflation rate in 2022 is the highest among the year, that is 6.1%. It is because there was a war between Russia and Ukraine. These both countries is the main supplier of oil and gas to Singapore.
What about type of inflation in Singapore?
Type of inflation in Singapore have two types. The first one is demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation is about the aggregate demand exceed the aggregate supply. This situation happened in 2021, where consumers can buy their goods and services in the physical store after a year of staying at home because of pandemic. The supply also limited because the company struggle to maintain their operation. This will make the price of goods and services increase. The second type of inflation is cost push inflation. That is when the cost of production is increased while the aggregate supply is decreased. This situation happened in 2022 where there is a war between Russia and Ukraine, which is they are the main supplier of oil and gas to Singapore. When the war happened, it will make the cost of production oil and gas increase. So it will make the import price increase.
What are the impacts of inflation to the Singapore as a whole?
Inflation can give impact for all the sector of economy. For individuals, it will make their purchasing power decrease because the price is keep increasing. The cost of living is increased because they need to survive when the inflation happens. From the social perspective, rich become richer, poor become poorer. It will make a large gap between them. When the large gap happens, people will lead to social wrongdoing because of the declining of living standards. For economy perspective, it is hard for business to plan their future conditions because the price is keep changing. The business will face recession. That is when the aggregate output start to decline. To summarize, an inflation gives negative impact for all the sector of economy.
How can we define unemployment?
Unemployment occurring when people in the working age group are able and willing to find a job but cannot find a suitable job.
What are the situation of unemployment in Singapore?
Singapore unemployment rate in 2023 was the lowest across these 5 years at 1.8% in the first quarter. However, it increased to 1.9% in the second quarter, reached 2% in the third quarter, and stayed at that level in the fourth quarter. In contrast, the first quarter of 2024 experienced a 2.1% increase in growth when compared with the previous year.
What types of unemployment that are facing in Singapore?
Demand deficient unemployment is another name of cyclical unemployment. It's occurred because businesses are forced to hire a large number of employees in order to reduce expenses during a recession. During COVID-19, in the third quarter of 2021, the total number of people employed had fallen to 196,400, of which 113,500 lost their jobs during the second quarter of 2021. Structural unemployment was caused by the structural decline of industries. Labour MP Patrick Tay said that structural challenges such as skills and job mismatch will continue to be one of the main causes of unemployment in Singapore in the near and medium term. Frictional unemployment is short-term or temporary unemployment that occurs when people enter the labor market to look for jobs or leave their jobs. Numerous candidates, particularly fresh graduates, are more selective about the company or industry to work in. Consequently, some graduates decide to work part-time in the meantime as it takes longer to secure full-time employment.
How unemployment can affect the Singapore?
When the economy is gloomy and there is a perception of a shortage of jobs, individuals can be discouraged from searching for jobs. In Singapore, the rate of discouraged workers rose from 0.3% in 2019 to 0.7% in 2020 due to a sharp slowdown in economic activities. From economic perspective, the government might receive less tax revenue but need to pay more for unemployment benefits. The highest rate unemployment rate affects economic growth because it reduces consumptions. Hence, it can reduce the aggregate demands, productions, and economic growth in Singapore. Unemployment can also impact society. Initially, it has the potential to elevate crime rates. Unemployment also gives an impact to the individual's unemployed family. Lastly, unemployment could also affect children's development as the kids might be a place to relieve anger or tensions.
Thank you. Do you know anything about monetary policy in Singapore?
Monetary policy in Singapore was controlled by Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is MAS. MAS works with an objective to ensure price stability.
What do you think Singapore used for their monetary policy?
Since Singapore is a small country with an open type economy, they mostly depends on imported goods and services. So, their monetary policy use other technique compared to other countries. They control trade with exchange rate instead of interest rate.
What is this exchange rate and how does Singapore control them?
This exchange rate is called Singapore Dollar Nominal Effective Exchange Rate or SNER, and must will monitor it and decide whether they need to tighten or loosen the exchange rate policy band. This band is a restraining order controlling imported and domestic goods for price stability.
What about fiscal policy in Singapore?
Fiscal policy in Singapore is controlled by Ministry of Finance, and as Singapore is a small country that lack natural resources, they need financial strength to ensure the needs of their people are met.
How do Singapore strengthen their financial situation?
First, most public expenditure of Singapore was spent on public goods and infrastructure. This is to enhance their people's skill and knowledge that can help Singapore in the future. Singapore also spend less of their GDP on government expenditure, and they are the lowest amongst advanced economic countries. Second, Singapore invests more on reserve and investment to increase their annual budget. Return from investment contributed to 20% of their annual budget, and most of their debt were paid with this return from investment. Third, Singapore has fair tax system. Higher income will pay more tax in Singapore compared to lower income, and lower income receive more benefit from the country compared to their paid tax. Singapore built more welfare programs and aims to develop their people by making education affordable.
What has been done by government in Singapore to reduce unemployment by using the monetary policy?
Okay. Monetary policy is when central banks take steps to influence the money and financial system to accomplish macroeconomic goals. Firstly, reducing interest rate is a monetary policy move that reduces the cost of borrowing, which boosts economic activity. This can increase GDP, reduce unemployment due to low demand, and raise aggregate demand. Also, lower interest rates can decrease the value of the currency and making export more competitive. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, the central bank, has implemented a specially open market operation to inject liquidity into the banking system and stimulate economic activity. Banks can purchase government bonds or treasury bills from commercial banks and financial institutions operating in Singapore.
Next, what do you know about government in Singapore does to resolve the unemployment issue by using the fiscal policy?
Unemployment can be reduced through fiscal policy by boosting economic growth and aggregate demand. The government enacted expansionary fiscal policy by cutting tax and increasing spending. Lower tax means people have more money to spend, which boosts consumption and aggregate demand. This leads to increased real GDP. When firms produce more due to increased demand, they need more workers, reducing unemployment. Stronger economic growth and higher demand also lower business bankruptcies, which help preserve jobs.
Did you know in pandemic COVID-19, the number of unemployment increases, and what the strategy that has been done by government?
COVID-19 caused a sudden public health crisis with significant economic fallout. Exacerbated by measures like Singapore Circuit Breaker from April 7 to June 1, 2020, which restricted most activities to essential service only. The government responded by providing fiscal support that initially focused on immediate aid to jobs, business, and households. As the more situation evolved, more targeted assistance was given to specific sectors, aiming to prepare for recovery and future growth for the pandemic. The Job Support Scheme offset wages for 1.9 million for local workers up to a monthly salary cap to 3,600, totaling of 1.3 billion over 3 months. The wage credit scheme was enhanced with a higher cap of 5,000 and increased co-funding levels, benefiting 700,000 people with a total of 1.9 billion. Additionally, the support grant active from May to September provided 1.5 million to assist those who lost their jobs due to the pandemic. And the last one, SG United Jobs and Skill Package offer various programs that include job placement and training opportunities, aiming to help recent graduates after a competitive job market more easily.
In an effort to boost economic growth, Singapore government is leveraging its experience with inflation and unemployment through focused fiscal and monetary policies. To combat inflation, which currently stands at 3.1% as of June 2024, the government is providing subsidies for essential goods, investing in infrastructure, and encouraging innovation to lower manufacturing costs. Additionally, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, or MAS, is adjusting the exchange rate to manage imported inflation and regulate the money supply to prevent excessive price increase. These measures aim to achieve price stability, a crucial factor for sustained economic growth. To address unemployment, the government is increasing public spending and providing incentive for business to hire and train employees. Investing in education and retraining program is also a key strategy to help the workforce adapt to changing technologies and industry. By effectively managing inflation and employment, Singapore aims to create a stable and economically healthy environment, ensuring continuous growth and long-term prosperity for its population. Thank you for tuning in.